Why vote for me? When you think about voting for someone, what do you need to think about? One thing is, why is the candidate running? Well, in the case of school board, we don't get paid, and it's not a trivial commitment. It is a lot of important work. I have to believe that those of us running want to serve our community, want to make our schools better, want to create a more equitable society, and want to give back from our rich blessings. You know the incumbents have to feel this way, and I do as well. So unfortunately, this probably isn't going to help you choose among us. You may also have to wonder about the positions of the candidates. From what I've seen at forums so far, is that to a large degree, we essentially agree with the goals of the current board, although there are some subtle differences and priorities. Finally, you may ask whether the candidates have the time, talent, and background to make a difference. My experience, both in the ETHS classroom and as a scientist, gives me the skills necessary to bring about change. Allow me to illustrate. I was visiting my sister and brother-in-law recently. His truck began to make noise during the visit, and he asked me to ride with him so that I could hear it. We observed the noise coming from just in front of our feet, and a slight loss of power under load. Based on these data, we hypothesized something in the transmission or transfer case is the cause. At this point, we were beyond my expertise in auto mechanics, but as he had been an auto repair shop owner, he knew to check various fluids and then how to interpret what he saw. Now, I tell this story because it's a good analogy for the problems facing us in addressing the issues of equity and education at ETHS. So let me bring it closer to home. When I first started at ETHS, I served as a substitute in a maternity leave, teaching honors and general biology. For the general students, I perceived that they needed something other than the regular content, which was not engaging them. So I had them do some projects, asking a question that they then had to develop a procedure to answer, collect the information, and interpret their data. I didn't restrict the topic other than by approval. One group asked, what's different between honors and general biology classes? What they came back with was that both classes were often chatty, but when the honor students heard something from me that they didn't know or thought important, they got quiet and paid attention. The general biology students did not. Again, this is an observation, but it is not the cause, it is an outcome. And there may be multiple issues that led to this observation. Once identified, like in auto repair, we have to have some strategy to address these problems. We have to factor in cost and the amount of time that we have available to work with the students into that strategy. But education and students are far more complex than cars, and there's not one problem nor one solution. If there were, we would have achieved equity long ago. My point here is that as both a classroom teacher at ETHS and a scientist, I am uniquely qualified to work through this process of identifying problems and proposing solutions. As a church treasurer and former church council president, I also have the experience of factoring in cost into the solution process. Finally, my brother-in-law was wise enough to seek additional perspectives. I too recognize that I need additional perspectives to hear the experience of others. Without that, I don't know whether I can or should generalize from my observations to the broader school experience, nor do I know what else needs to be addressed that is outside my experience. Without that input, I risk proposing a partial or misdirected strategy towards equity and excellence. I and the board would seek that input, and with it, we may be able to fashion strategies